Oh boy, it's time for another episode of Second Cup. It's me, your host, Tim Heller. Today's guest is George Nowick, again. As promised, we had George back on the show to discuss our experiences at VO Atlanta and the Get Mic'd UVOS voiceover competition. So, without further ado, it's time to top off your beverage, get comfy, and enjoy this episode of Second Cup with George Nowick, Part 2. Okie dokie, George Nowick.
What?
How are you, my friend?
Doing great. You caught me right in the middle of warm-ups for the day. As everybody who can see, we have wine corks in our faces. For anybody who's listening on the podcast version, this is really confusing.
Yeah, I mean, and watching, I'm sure it's confusing too. I'm so glad that you did that, because I no longer drink. This is how I get my cheap thrills now, is just by holding the cork in my mouth. No, that was a trick that I learned in musical theater school for singing, and then I transferred it over to learning how to read faster in voiceover, or do a quick warm up when I'm feeling like this, and it's amazing.
Oh, feeling like what? You got caught something, or just early?
I don't know. Honestly, since I got back from the conference, it's been like just tired, and then Texas as a state decided to bloom all the pollen. So it's been an experience. We are in the thick of it. I've got my steamer, and I am using that like 3 or 4 times a day. Nice. And hydrating, and but I go outside and my eyes turn red, and it looks like I've been partaking in extracurriculars.
Our planet is trying to kill us by looking beautiful.
Yeah, and then my brother he has 0 allergies. I just don't even know what that kind of existence is like.
It's not even fair. Like, so not fair. Oh, let's do it again. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Oh, look what I have. What?
What is that? Clink.
Cheers. It's a beautiful mug that was gifted to me by you. Listeners, watchers, George surprised me at VO Atlanta with this beautiful mug, and it was very sweet. And honestly, I use it as one of my primary rotation mugs now. So thank you very much.
All the best Seattle products made in China. In a twist of fate on Tim Heller's creative. This is George's first coffee, not second coffee.
Oh, and joke's on you. This is my 3rd already.
Oh, boy.
So, George, thank you for coming back on and doing this right away. It's been about 2 weeks now since the conference, which is crazy to think about.
Oh, my gosh.
And this is our recap episode of the whole shebang. So, what's been going on since you got home?
Man, oh, man. It's been really busy since I got home. When you told me it was 2 weeks, I'm like, what? No.
I thought it was a week. I thought yesterday was a week, and I looked at the calendar. I was like, oh, cool. So I just blacked out when I got home. Great.
I think that's exactly what happened. Blacked out. Hit the ground running when we all got back, and trying to catch up on all the stuff that we missed by being away for effectively 4 days.
Were you 5 days?
Oh, that's
right.
right.
Yeah, you got in before.
Yeah, I did the red eye in on Thursday morning, and then they couldn't get a flight out until Monday morning. So I had the extra day to hang out with a couple of people, and then get a tiny bit of sleep, and then get on an early flight.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's that travel wrecked me in a way that I haven't experienced since I stopped drinking.
Wow. I assume you've been to some form of convention before, VO or not.
No.
You've never been to an actual trade convention.
Not a con, not a trade convention, not anything really that I can think of.
So no anime cons, no PAX, no MagFest, none of them.
No.
This was more than just your typical first for you then, wasn't it?
This was, I mean, it was overwhelming in the best way possible.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Let's talk through what the Get Mic'd UVOS competition was for everybody who is listening, or for everybody who is listening now and watching, because that is something a question that I've gotten a lot. Is like, oh, I thought what is it? What did you do? Congrats. It's weird, but yeah, that's great. So
yeah, tell us about it, champ.
So what George is alluding to is that I ended up winning this competition that we were in, somehow, which was wild and overwhelming in all the most wonderful ways.
That's how you won. I mean, seriously.
It's So the way that this competition started is that you so I was told about it by my coach Malik Berger. Shout out to Malik out in LA. She said, "Hey, you should look into doing this competition. I know you're trying to get yourself out there in different ways this year, and living in not one of the major markets. I think this would be good exposure for you." I was like, "Okay, cool." So I looked it up. You submit 6 videos, and it's for one for commercial, one for promo, one for narration, one for audiobook, one for video game, and one for animation. Did I say that already?
Got them all.
And then okay, great. And then there was a Halloween one
The
too as a bonus
bonus
because the
round.
initial, yeah, the initial submissions were due before Halloween, and so then from that there were about 1,800, almost 1,900 submissions, something
Yeah.
like that. They
Ton of
whittle it
people.
down to the 4 main categories of Halloween, commercial promo, narration audiobook, and animation and video games. George was a finalist for the commercial and promo. Uh, Excuse me. Third
Blessings be
cup
upon
fighting
you,
back.
sir.
Um, thank you, received. And then I went through for the animation and gaming final, and then George, and then we both won those rounds, which got us to the final round at VO Atlanta, where they had the other 2 winners and 2 wildcard contestants all compete for the final, like, grand finale situation. So we arrived Thursday, and George, take it away.
Wow. Oh, you're giving me flashbacks of.
And we were given the scripts a week in advance,
Yeah,
I think, right? Yeah.
it was a week in advance, and so um, big shout out to Ellie Ray, who was a mad genius. Any of her copywriting is going to be very interesting and broaden our horizons in ways that we did not even know possible. And I would argue that every single one of us walked away with probably a new appreciation for what we were capable of. Because what ended up happening, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this because there are too many benefits about it. We were kind of given the directive to, there's an audience, perform for this audience who are entertain, think outside the box, color outside the lines. Like, it's all the usual Ellie Ray stuff, which I am so on board with. And so we
Yeah.
did our thing in each of the rounds, and the feedback we were getting sounded confused. And then later we found out that they weren't told that that was the directive. But the reason this was beautiful was because the judges didn't spend a lot of time talking about all the things we did that were out of the scope of booking. They spent time basically running a clinic on every one of those categories of what does book and why. And
Yeah.
they used it as an educational opportunity. And so to me, we won no matter what happened because
Yeah.
we were able to do funny stuff for our peers. We were able to get good feedback categorically from each of the different judges, and of course, after the fact, we had an opportunity to, if we wanted to speak to each individual person afterwards and have really great conversations. Miscommunication can sometimes be a great icebreaker.
Yeah, no kidding.
I didn't know any of them. I probably come in the same vein as you, as this seemed like a great way to do something community based and maybe get to know a few more people. And holy moly, did we get to know a lot of people as a result of this. But I didn't know Kim
Yeah.
Herdon at all. I didn't know Lala Peters. I had worked with J. Michael Collins a couple of times. Um, I didn't know Ellie Ray or Deb Monroe before this whole thing started. So
Yeah.
effectively, I walked away with a lot of really cool new friends, and of course, the rest of the 5 of you, which reminds me, I was going to ask y'all a question. I keep forgetting to jump onto Instagram because I am not an Instagrammerist.
An Instagrammerist.
Instagrammerist. That, yes.
But yeah, I
Hashtag new
agree. I mean,
words.
it's really the we'll get to this in more in depth in a moment here, but I think, my primary goal going into this was like, okay, wow, it would be really cool to get to the grand finale, to be able to get to VO Atlanta and have my trip paid, and just to be able to get up and like do my thing in front of other people, because coming from the theater world, I haven't done that in a minute,
Yeah.
and it's something I miss, and that's really fun. But to do it then in voiceover context was an interesting way to Mash everything, and then with Ellie and Deb's directive too. So it was, I mean, it was a blast. It was really, really fun. It was an exhausting day, in the best ways possible. But yeah, the miscommunication definitely created a little bit of camaraderie with uh, contestants, judges, and Deb and Ellie too, because they were. It was just got people talking.
It
Um,
really did. And there's no such thing as bad publicity. And it wasn't bad publicity. It was
no,
everybody who was there, I think, who I spoke with at some point or another, had an amazing time. And people who were
yeah,
watching on the stream, there were some technical glitches on the stream, but what they were able to see, they said y'all looked like you were having an amazing time, and there isn't a one of the six of us that was not having an amazing time doing this.
yeah. It's a really cool, unique experience and opportunity to get to do what we do that's normally isolated in front of people. So,
Exactly.
and yeah, and so I don't know what we all won necessarily yet, because I don't think they've sent it out, or they're figuring out the prize packages and stuff still. But they're doing that, and there's lots of wonderful prizes like classes and coachings and stuff like that, and tickets to future conferences. So I'm stoked for that.
I am too, because
Um,
that again, yeah, we have no idea what it's going to be, but we know that they've got something planned. They just haven't announced it to us yet. But Jim
yeah,
and Nee, they have taken really good care of us.
yeah, they have. They've been really, really sweet, very generous with all the work that went into it, and um, I mean, it was a lot. Definitely showing up Thursday for tech rehearsal. There's a lot of moving pieces, and it's a lot too to do it right at the beginning of the conference, where there are already so many existing moving pieces. But
Yeah,
uh,
but
Anna and JMC really freaking crushed it. And this being my first VO Atlanta, and hearing the feedback from everybody else that this was the best one that they'd attended, and even the hotel staff that was helping everybody out, and they crushed it as well. So shout out to the Hilton Airport in Atlanta.
oh my gosh, yes, I have been
It's
to bad conventions and I've been to good conventions, and this was run like a well-oiled machine. And I think the thing that impressed me the most was the fact that Anna and J. Michael are not office workers. They don't rule from a top, sit in the back office and let things happen. They
no,
were there. They were out there, sometimes in panels, but they were there with
oh yeah,
everybody.
involved with everybody, talking to everybody, making sure everything was going smoothly, and yeah, I mean, it was fantastic. It was awesome. It was a really wonderful experience.
I do want to
And
take a
so
moment to shout out Deb and
yeah,
Ellie Ray though one more time though, because they did so much work in on site in the lead up all the way from the very beginning of the very first announcement of Take 3. And I've been involved in like these types of things behind the scenes, and I know what they went through. And good gravy, I cannot say enough wonderful things about what they did for this community and the amount of sleepless nights that they had. And I say sleepless nights and stress and confusion and communicating with so many people. When you have over 1,800 people who enter a contest, and generally speaking, probably every one of them has at least one or 70 questions, your days are very full. And
yeah,
this isn't a money making effort for them. This is a community effort, and they put their heart and soul into this thing. So they definitely need a ton of recognition over this one. And I just wanted to make
yeah.
sure I said that.
Yes, yes, yes. And Deb and Ellie, if you ever listen to this or watch this, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to the whole Get Mic'd team, everybody who helped coordinate, because it was not, I don't, two people could not just do what they did.
No, they had a
So
great
lots of
team.
volunteers on the back end. So all right, so moving on to the conference itself.
Yeah.
Um, this your first voiceover conference, or was this
Second voiceover conference. I was at the Sovas
okay?
event in December, and then this was the second conference for me, but the first time I've ever attended VO Atlanta.
Okay, awesome. So, in terms of, because I want us to kind of touch on the conference side of things, and our experiences with that, just because so many people have reached out asking, like, is it worth it? I was thinking about going. I decided not to because it's expensive, but, is it really worth it for your business or for all of this? And so, what is, with the two you have under your belt now, what has your experience been?
Oh, wow. That's a fantastic question. It's like you ask questions really well or something. How does that work? Like, do you run a podcast? We should talk. Um,
I just feel like an idiot, and so I feel like I'm like,
ah.
oh, cool. I think if I ask questions, then I'll be less of an idiot and learn more.
So I'll touch on the That's Voiceover Career Expo very briefly. Back in December, one panel at a time, lots of different panelists, lots of different categories. It felt to me like there was something for every single person at every level in the voiceover journey. And that was great. I loved that experience. But VO Atlanta it's like apples and oranges. VO Atlanta is more like your um, gaming convention type of thing where you have many, many, many different panels all happening at the same time, overlapping.
Mm.
So the VO Atlanta structure is you have one, like 6 or 7 different general session panels that are going on, and then you have what are called X sessions, where there are more concentrated focuses on specific things. Like you spend 3 hours with Mary Lynn Wisner talking about commercial. You spend 3 hours with George Whittam talking about mic to MP3 and all of the things in between and how to streamline your processes and get better audio quality. Um, there were
And X sessions, for people who don't know, are paid. They're extra, like they're extra sessions that you can take, but it is a smaller cap of participants, and it's, I think the value. I didn't do any of those this time around, but next time I go, fully intend to, just because you get that extra FaceTime with everybody, and you actually get like that practical on your feet experience in a lot of them.
Oh, yes, exactly. And everyone I spoke to who participated in an X session found that it was excruciatingly worth it. Just,
Yeah,
especially the keynote speaker, Deborah Wilson, had one of those sessions, and she ran over like there were 3 hours. She ran over like 2 hours because she spent so much time and attention and love with every single person who was in there. And uh, I I have to admit, I was a little starstruck when I saw her because I remember the first episode of Mad TV and seeing her
uh
and
huh.
just being in awe of her. And so near the end of the convention, I finally got a chance to. I'm sidebarring. I'm sorry. I got the chance to see her because she was hanging out at the restaurant, and I'm looking over, and there she is. Oh my gosh, I want to go say hi, but I'm too shy. And my friend Iman said, "Oh, no, 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 no. We're going over there because she was in that X session." So she went over to say hi, and she introduced me, and she stands up and she gives me this giant hug, and she holds on, and it's like she knew that I'm a hugger. So, but and so
Yeah,
I'm.
George, you give excellent hugs. That's I was like, whoa, feeling the rippling muscles across the Novick
Oh
spine,
my
and it is.
gosh. Whatever. But she came in and held on, and so we were there for a little while, and I thought, okay, she's probably going to think this is super awkward, even though she this is an amazing, amazing hug, and you know what an amazing hug feels like when you're having one. And so I started to do the let go thing, and she didn't let go. So like, okay, we're in for this. And then we just kind of looked at each other. We talked for a little bit, and I told her that um I almost burst a kidney the first time I saw her on Mad TV because I was just so in awe and laughing. And she said, "Oh, don't do that. You need those things." And then she spent the next 3 or 4 minutes just constantly tickling my kidneys. There are pictures of me like bent over laughing my head off because she, she's a cool spirit. Um,
She has something special that I think I've only ever experienced something similar once before in theater school with a teacher. So shout out to Texas State, Nadine Mozan,
oh
for
yeah.
that kind of like really. It's a gift.
It,
I think it's a huge gift. The way that she can just speak, and the way that she moves through the world, and the passion that she carries with her, and um, it's very special. It's a wonder to behold when you're in their presence.
Oh, definitely. Okay, so getting back to where we were, we talked a little bit about the X sessions, which are extra fees in order to attend those for very focused, concentrated categories. The rest of the convention still has a lot to offer to anybody who happens to be going. There's no way to see everything, but one of the cool things is that for attendees, there will be a video archive available to review after the
Yeah,
fact. And once I found that out, I stopped taking notes because I like to obsessively take notes on my laptop because I know I'm going to forget everything. But
yeah.
once I found out that the videos are going to be available after the fact, I'm like, okay, I'm going to chill and I'm just going to experience the speakers and take it in, and then I can go back and I can study the technical stuff later. But there was not a genre of voiceover that was not well represented at this convention, or categories of discussion that were relevant to everything we're doing, not like outside of the typical things you'd see for automotive or e-learning or
Mm-hmm.
commercial or promo, or I'll talk about the promo panel in just a moment. um, but also discussions about AI. That is a big shadow looming over everything that we're doing. And so every time I hear a panel or a discussion about AI, it's different. And that just reflects the fact that it is a very rapidly evolving subject. So, yep, stay tuned. We'll see what that does for us. But
Yeah.
in terms of, I'm trying to think, I think we covered pretty much everything, that there is a broad swath of every genre, every level of experience was well represented as well. So there was a lot of
Yeah.
value for anybody at any level who wants to participate in this thing.
Yeah, and I second everything you said, and it really was, and this is not a sponsored episode by VO Atlanta, though Anna and JMC, if you're listening, happy to talk about it more. But it really was fantastic. Like everybody who has asked me if it was worth it to go, I say 100%. And if you can save up and make it happen, if you can swing it, it's an investment. It's all tax deductible for your business, so I'd say go. And I found that, like you, when they said, or when I would remember, because I constantly forgot, it just was such a whirlwind. I like faces, names, experiences, conversations, all that stuff. It's but remembering that they were videotaping all of these sessions really like allowed me to take a second to breathe and
Yeah.
say, okay, cool, I'm going to be present for these. But inevitably, when conversations uh, got going, and or I'd get pulled into conversations that were during some of these sessions, I didn't feel bad about going and investing in the time with those people, because that's what I was really, really focused on doing there, is connecting with my friends I haven't met in person, or meeting new people in the industry. And not that hard networking, like, hey, I'm Tim Heller, here's my card. It like, exactly. Which there is some of that, and there's no shade on that. It's like, if that's your style, you're doing that, great. I did that with direct marketing on LinkedIn for a year, and it was super cringy, and it makes me want to throw up when I think about it. But it's, if it works, it works. Um, so yeah, I mean, it was just awesome. I felt like the most value that I got out of it was the conversations and the time spent with the people, outside of the panels. And that's nothing against, or the value of the panels in the workshops were immense. It was really fantastic. But for me this time, it was great to go in with that plan of, I'm going to focus on the conversations with people, and time spent. And then next year, we'll see how that changes. We'll see where see where we're at in a year.
Yeah, it could totally evolve into something different. It could be for you, it could be a completely different focus at that point. Because,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you think of where you were at in your career 1 year ago compared to where you're at right now, there are probably some staggering differences. So
Yeah, a little bit.
1 year from now, who knows where we're all going to be? I mean, we will keep moving on and progressing, obviously. But man, you touched on one of the best parts of that convention, which was the connections, the meeting of people. And the, it's just like every other convention I've gone to, where a lot of people. You want to stop and talk and connect and really lock eyes and have a deep conversation. But then you tell them, wait, right here, I'll be right back. And then you never be right back, because you got
Yeah.
dragged into the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And I think everybody accepts that as a reality of convention life. It's a thing. There's a tiny part of me that wishes that that was not the case, but because I've been through it so many times in other convention environments, I just know that it's a thing. And
Yeah.
the best part, though, is anybody you had a connection with that got cut short for whatever reason, we got Zoom, we got Google Meet now. We can have those long one-on-one conversations that we obviously crave if we're going to these events and wanting to meet with people. And that's fantastic. That was not the case, at least for me. It was not the case when I first started doing convention related things. Zoom didn't exist. I mean, you had to you had to try to get like you had to hack into old corporate phone conference things in order to be able to communicate with all of your friends around the country because they had 800 numbers
Yeah.
and none of us
Or
wanted to
just
pay
go
long
on
distance.
AIM. Yeah. Or you just go on AOL and open up a chat room, right?
Yeah, there was that back man. AIM, ICQ. I still remember my ICQ number 1050751.
Ooh. Ooh.
I had a 7-digit
So
number, but yeah. Um yeah, we went on a
so
tangent
with this
there.
conference, if you okay, so because you've already been on, we won't do another round of quick fire.
Oh,
But
okay.
I do want to just kind of go over, I guess, a different kind of quick fire
Yeah.
for us is so what was your favorite part of the conference? If you had to choose one, I know it's hard to talk to just pick one thing, but if there's a moment that sticks out to you, what is that?
I'll skip the Deborah Wilson kidney tickling one because we already addressed
Yep.
that one. Ooh. Um One moment that would have stood out above all others. I'm not going to pick a specific moment because there were way too many moments and way too many amazing hugs and way too many e- e- exuberant greetings, like when Diana Wilde ran across the giant hall and leaped like Dirty Dancing style, and I caught her and just swung her around. That was like one of the most
Oh,
amazing greetings ever. And then we laughed, and there were tears, and it's like there were a lot of people who were really excited to meet each other. But I would say that it was more of an educational thing for me personally, because what I took away as one of the most important things was a couple of genres that I'm going to stay away from, which
mm.
sounds weird, but there's an
No, that's
explanation for
great.
it. Um,
Yeah.
the first is as it relates to radio imaging. I love doing radio imaging, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been told that I have a voice that may lend itself to that category. What I wanted to do is I didn't want to just settle for doing just the voiceover. I wanted to do it all. I want to do the
Yeah.
copywriting, I want to do the mixing, I want to pick the sound effects, I want to create them or pick the music from a library, just concoct the entire thing like I did for my UVOS promo entry. That was basically my
Yeah.
radio imaging template and a video lined up together, and off I went. I love doing that stuff. It's fun. So after a couple of radio imaging panels, I tracked him down and I said, "Hey, this is what I'm interested in doing." And he said, "Okay, I have been in your shoes. I've done what you're talking about, and I'm not doing it anymore. And here's why. You will get paid X to do one radio imaging spot. It'll take you about 3 to 4 hours in total. That's fair. It takes about that long. Or you will do three radio imaging voiceovers for that same X amount multiplied by three in probably less than an hour. Your ROI doesn't add up. And
Yep.
what is your time worth? Let the people who can't do voiceover but who are experts at the radio imaging mixing do that. Keep doing it for fun. Do it for Clubhouse or YouTube or any of the things that you're involved in that will keep making people smile. But don't hang your hat on it as a career move because you've got voice, and that's that is a still a rare commodity in a lot of cases. So
Mm-hmm.
that was a very educational moment for me. The other one was that I'm going to be probably staying away from promo for a while. I did not
Oh,
realize
cool.
that promo comes with a set of golden handcuffs.
Yeah.
And Joe Cipriano and Mark and Donovan
Jeff
Cornetz, and
and Donovan.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh that panel was
It was
it
awesome.
was really awesome. I learned so much from that. But the thing I took away from that is in promo, you get an email with a script, and you basically have 8 minutes to turn that thing around and send it off to the production company because voiceover is the last thing anybody is thinking of. They've
Oh
done
yeah.
all of the video stuff. They've done all of the video gathering and linking and cutting and pasting and everything, and the last thing that they want to deal with And it is literally the last thing that they will deal with is getting the voice actor to read the thing so that they can drop it in and send it off to air. So if
Yep.
you've got about 8 minutes from start to finish, and that's fine. Promo pays well. There is no question about it. Promo pays really well, but the cost of promo is you need to be ready at the drop of a hat. So
Yep.
and they said this very clearly, if you get a script and you say, "Hey, great, I got something going. I'll get back to you in half an hour with this one." They'll say, "Great," and they'll take it, and you'll never ever hear from them again.
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been getting a lot more of the promo, a lot of voice match stuff, which has been fun, and trailer stuff for just through my management, like a lot more of these opportunities. And I talked to the promo trailer voice match ADR guy at my management company, and was just like, what is when I first signed with them back in November, like what is the like, I just haven't done this. What are some tips, like that, just to make sure that you're not like, who the hell is this guy? Why did we sign him? And he's like, honestly, man, it's just that quick turnaround. And I talked to Ryder. So shout out to Mark Ryder, after I signed with them as well, because our manager told me to ask him. And Mark said the greatest ability that you can have as a promo and trailer artist is availability. And it's that. And in the conversation I had with my manager yesterday, it was just like, yeah, man, honestly, it's just, I mean, you're super close, you're spot on with these things, and it's just a matter of like what fits in that moment. Or it could be that like it's a hurry up and wait thing, where that your voice is sitting on this trailer for 2 or 3 months waiting for the studio to sign off on it, and then boom, you get a check in the mail 4 months later. But it is that quick turnaround. It is a set of golden handcuffs. So I've decided to kind of invest a little bit in some more coaching. I've been working with Jeff, and learning things that I'm doing well, and learning things that I can do better. And we'll see what happens. If the golden handcuffs get slapped on for a year or two, we'll see. I feel like it would be definitely more difficult with kids and um uh, uh another job on the outside of things, but we'll see. I don't know, we'll see. It's so much of this conference I didn't expect to happen, and so it's been, I imagine you feel the same way, this abundance of just kindness and opportunity that's just starting to kind of flow in. And it's not necessarily, in the sense of like, hey, here's money, here's a job, here's all of this, whatever. But it's stuff that could turn into that. And it circles back to those conversations. It's just like Tim Tippett's reaching out or coming up to me at the conference and saying, hey, everybody's got their eye on you, we're excited to see what you do. I'm gonna call you the week we get back. And then he actually does. It's like, I don't know, it's everybody has been, I think my favorite part was seeing that all of these people that I had either heard about or just observed as a wallflower or interacted with heavily online over the past 4 or 5 years is even more lovely in person than they are online. And that was just, I feel like that's such a rare experience, to like meet the people that you kind of can idolize or you can hold up to the light and be like, wow, I want to be like them. And then meeting them, it's like, shit, they're actually like that amazing and kind. Wow. Hell yeah.
Who
Um,
knew, right?
it's
I mean,
yeah.
they all did because they've been doing this for years. But like for us, and you touched on it. I think you were planning on going, but I had no intention of going to VO Atlanta. It was not on my
Yeah.
bingo card. It was not on my schedule. And then it basically all this just got dropped in my lap. And you take advantage of those opportunities when they come up. There's no question about it. And then just deal with the aftermath later of all the time that you missed back home.
It's worth it. And honestly, when I got back, I told Jess that it just confirms, for me, at least for me and my personality type. And I think also living in Austin over LA or New York, or another major market, is that like I need to be at like one or two of these a year at least, just to like keep showing up. And so anybody listening that's on the fence about going to a conference, try it. Save up the money and go. It's going to be expensive, but it is an investment in your business, and it's an investment in your community. And I think it's worth it to go for yourself and experience, okay, I love this, or I'm good, I don't feel like I need to do these, instead of just taking somebody else's word for it. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
okay, so
But no, you raised a really good point. And the thing I wanted to piggyback on that was it doesn't have to be VO Atlanta. It doesn't have to be the
mm-mm.
That's Voiceover Career Expo because,
It can be one of the smaller ones
yeah,
that are more
you're
regional.
going to see a number of some of the same people, not all of them, but a lot of people you're going to see a lot of some repeats, but you're also going to see some folks who may not make it to VO Atlanta. A
Mm-hmm.
bunch of folks from the Burbank, LA area aren't necessarily going to go all the way out to Atlanta, but they'll definitely be at the That's Voiceover Career Expo. There are some folks who are
Yep.
coaches in Texas who I just don't want to travel, but they'll be at what is it? One Voice coming up, I think.
One Voice, yeah, in August.
They'll be at One Voice. Mavo up in not New England, but where is it?
Maryland, is it like Baltimore area,
Yeah.
something like that,
Okay,
or
yeah, like
DC?
the Baltimore DC area. If you're in that area, that's a good one to go to. VO North, if you're near Toronto, there's no shortage of events to look at. And so if you're on the fence about going, find one that's close to you to reduce
Yep.
some of those expenses because obviously everybody wants to go to Atlanta. It's the biggest one, but it doesn't necessarily make sense if you're not entirely sure about going to a big convention. So try one of the smaller ones that are closer to you. Like That's Voiceover is great because that pretty much covers the entire West Coast because it's not
Yep.
hard to get to LA from Seattle or Vegas or Phoenix or whatever. So that find the one that's close to you and assuming it's going to be in LA. Sometimes it's in New York, so but we can get into that a different time. But yeah, find one that's close, pick your poison, and get ready to meet some incredible people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So okay, so last question is, what would you do differently for your next
I
conference?
would not red eye in. I am getting too old for that. I can't sleep on planes anymore. I used to be able to do that, and I
Uh-huh.
just cannot anymore. So, yeah, I would not red eye in because and I know that there's going to be video of it, so I'm going to catch some of the panels that I missed. But the following day, after the UVOS finals, I turned off all my notifications. I turned off my alarms, and I think I woke
You
up
were
at
so smart.
11 in the morning East Coast time. I was done. I was
Yeah, I remember getting there that next morning and being like, and talking to Megan and being like, "Hey, where's George? I haven't seen him yet." She's like, "Oh, he's still asleep." And that didn't even cross my mind. Like my little people pleaser, like student mind was going like, I got to be there for like everything first thing in the morning. And people were like sleeping in or like taking a nap in their room for some of the sessions. And I I I think what I would do differently next time is make sure that I'm at the hotel that the conference is at, so that you have that opportunity to stay, like to go and like turn off for like 30-45 minutes.
right.
um and so and our rooms were covered by Deb and Ellie, so not complaining at all.
Exactly.
It's But I think that is definitely like, that is going to be my like big boy pants non-negotiable. Like I need to make sure that I am there so that I can go
Stay at the
rest.
convention hotel so that you can get that downtime and recharge
Yep.
and not have to go very far in order to do that. That's a huge deal, and I
Yep.
completely agree with you on that. But yeah, I mean that's kind of the theme for both of us: rest, because
Yeah.
I didn't want to be the person that slept in or missed panels, but I needed to be the person that slept in and missed panels because the night before and the night before that and the day
The
of
whole 36 hours leading up to
and then just the
Friday.
total crash. And
Yeah.
it's just what happened and I'm mostly unapologetic about it, even though I would have liked to hang out with more people and talk to more people, but
No,
it
it's
worked out.
you did what you had to do. I went to bed at like 7 that night, that Friday night, because I wanted to hang and rally with everybody at the bar, but I was like, y'all,
You done.
I need to go get a pizza for myself and
Ah, yes.
fall asleep. So, well, George, thank you again for coming on and doing a quick debrief of the whole competition and everything. And I adore you. I so appreciate. I stand by what I said at the end of the competition. It's just like you are such a light for so many people in the community. The community that you have built with Megan and Rochelle is so special and so engaged. And I feel like you are such a prime example of what kindness, hard work, and selflessness can look like in our world, in our industry. And it doesn't mean you have to be somebody that is the brightest, shiniest, like bigwig in the industry to build community like that you have, because you are bright and shiny. But
I was going to say the light that you're
I
talking
love
about is the
I
one
love the
that bounces off of my head. It's very bright and shiny.
It's a
like, you can see
beacon.
right
Yes.
there. Yeah.
But I appreciate you and who you are.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to get to know you via This Means, by Second Cup, by being in communication leading up to the convention. You are a very astounding mammal, and I am so lucky that the universe crossed our paths so that we can just be a part of this thing together. You're a wonderful person, and I'm really grateful for everything you are doing for everybody, for your podcast, for your generosity, and it just goes on and on and on. Y'all, anybody listening, Tim's the bomb.
Thank you, George. I think you're a fantastic mammal as well.
Thank you.
I know that I will be talking to you again soon, because we talk almost on a weekly basis,
I
at least through voice memos. But thank you again for coming back on the show, and I can't wait to see what else you have coming your way.
Same
it's very
for
exciting
you.
times.
We've got a lot ahead of us, and we'll definitely stay in touch.
Absolutely. All right, George. I'll talk to you
Peace
soon.
out.
Thank you, dear listener, for listening to part 2 of George Nowick on Second Cup. To stay up to date with everything that George has going on, you can follow him on social media at NalrogFTW and friend him on LinkedIn. And if you are a voice actor who wants to learn more about the voice acting world with other voice actors, be sure to follow George on Clubhouse. He hosts a really awesome group called The Working Voice Actor on Clubhouse with Megan Selke and Rochelle Simpson. As always, a huge shout out and thank you to the Second Cup fam. From Arai Productions in New York City, we have Alberth Bursey and Saring Sharma, and our producing team, Tara Seuss and Julius Shepard Morgan. Stay tuned for more updates from Second Cup and other shows that we have coming your way. For any other creative queries or questions, comments, concerns, suggestions of what you want to hear or who you want to hear on the show, you can email me, Tim Heller, at tim@timhellercreative.com. Stay tuned for the next episode of Second Cup for an amazing conversation with somebody really cool. Later, skaters!